How's it going, everyone? It's Mike from PC Classic Cars, back with another virtual description. Today we are going to talk about my 1965 Ford Mustang Fastback. This is a vehicle that I actually took in on trade from a gentleman down in the Houston area. He had this Mustang along with a first-generation Mustang convertible. He actually traded just the Fastback in towards a Mach 1 that I have, and then ended up selling his convertible as well. He was downsizing for multiple vehicles and just wanted to have one, and he ended up trading it towards a really nice Mach 1 that I had. This is a real A-code 2+2 Fastback. The driveline that's in it is not the original A-code 289, but it has a 67 model 289 in it, which actually runs really well. Backed by a C4 3-speed automatic transmission. Transmission shifts up through the gears, down through the gears, and it cruises down the road at 60-65 miles an hour really well. You do have power steering. This one does have a disc brake conversion done on the front, but it is still a manual disc brake setup. You do also have a Ford under-dash AC unit. Unfortunately, the compressor was not kicking on when I did my check-in, and I did not do any further diagnostic work on the AC. So it's going to need some diagnostic and repair to get the AC going. I don't know exactly what is wrong outside of the compressor not engaging. Excuse me. On your cooling system, you do have an aftermarket Champion aluminum radiator. However, there is not a fan shroud on it, so if you want to keep it even cooler, you can go ahead and get a fan shroud, but there is not one there right now. And then your exhaust is an older setup. You have manifolds, dual exhaust, glass pack style mufflers, full tailpipes, and then you have your trumpet tips. It does sound good going down the road, but for me, the exhaust is older, and I would upgrade it to a newer dual exhaust setup with Flowmasters. The Mustang does run and drive down the road well, but it is going to need some mechanical fine-tuning to be more of a daily driver. I did note at about 55 miles an hour, there is a slight vibration coming from it feels like the rear end or the drive shaft. It very well could be the tires. Again, I didn't diagnose it. It's just at that 55 or so mile an hour range. You get a slight vibration, nothing that inhibits you from driving it. Just a little side note there. Take a look at my test drive video. We'll dive more into the mechanicals. It is, again, a good running and driving Mustang, but it is going to need some stuff. I would go through the car kind of front to back before you start driving it across the country. On my doesn't work section, again, the horn doesn't work. The heat and AC, again, we talked about that. The AC is not working. I think it is going to be the compressor, or it very well could be low on Freon and have an O-ring leaking, and you have to charge it. Maybe some other work there. And then the blower motor's not working. So the heat's not going to work as well because the blower motor. And then your reverse lights and then your washer fluid sprayers are not working. Take a look at my additional informations tab. The doesn't work section is posted on the website so you can see what works and what doesn't work. On my normal inspection, again, this is a vehicle that does need some things mechanically. There is a minor power steering leak coming from the control valve and the cylinder itself. You also have some transmission leaks, and again, we talked about that little vibration. Again, very well could just be the tires. I don't know. Could be from the rear differential or the drive shaft. I didn't do any diagnostic work, just kind of some high level stuff there. It could be one of those three things, but it doesn't inhibit you from driving it. The car still drives well. The lower front control arms have recently been replaced as well on the car. On the exterior, again, we're going to get into the kind of the oldest aspect of this Mustang, and that's why it's priced where it is at. The cosmetics inside, outside, and underneath are very old and a little bit amateur on the Mustang. The paint is an amateur job at best. It is Wimbledon white. Obviously, it shows really well in the photos, but the paint is older. It's got some bubbles. It's got some filler in it. It definitely has its imperfections front to back. From 15, 20 feet away, it looks like it does in the photos, but on close inspection, the paint is, again, I would classify as amateur. The jams, the trunk jam, you can definitely see some body work was done. Same thing with the door jams. The lower portions of the car does have some filler and does have some rust bubbles starting. Take a look at my additional informations tab. It's going to have a bunch of photos of all of the worst spots inside, outside, and underneath. I really want you all to take a look at all of those photos. It's got really good depictions of the true cosmetic quality of the car. Everything is really in line with an older done car and having some amateur work. Again, you'll see that stuff in the photos, and if anyone needs further clarification, a FaceTime video, more photos, do not hesitate to call me. I will hop on the phone with you directly and go over this Mustang front, back, inside, and out so you really know what you'd be buying. Just like the exterior, the interior is older, but the interior I would say is a little bit better than the exterior. It is a code 26 black with white vinyl interior. The tops of the driver's seat is kind of coming apart a little bit. The carpet, the console, all that stuff is older. Some of it very well could be original. The interior is very serviceable, and you don't have to do anything. You can drive it just the way it sits. But again, expect it to be older, kind of front to back, and I'll put really good photos of that stuff in the additional informations tab as well. On the on the engine bay, you do have some isolated rust spots on the inner fenders as well. There'll be good photos of that. But the firewall is in good shape. The rest of the engine bay, kind of as a stock appearing engine bay, the bottom side of the hood does have some age to it, and you'll see that in the photos as well. The underneath has had its fair share of kind of patchwork. The toe boards, where it meets the front floor pans on the outsides of the frame rail there, have been sectioned in. I would classify it as an amateur job. You can kind of see where they did it. It's heavily undercoated in those areas, and there is still some isolated rust spots up on the toe board areas on both sides. It is nothing where your feet are going to go through the floors. It is solid enough where you can drive this thing just like it sits, and you don't have to do any rust repair. I'm just noting that some of the previous work that is done is not how I would have done it. You'll see the underneath represents well, but there is those isolated spots on the toe boards. The rear inner fenders on the bottom side of the quarters there, you can see some rust spots that are still present. Both of the rear drop downs have been patched in. Again, take a look at the extra photos. You'll see the worst spots that I'm talking about. I'm really trying to beat it up, so if someone does buy this car, it's actually going to be better in person than it is in this video or in the photos. I'd like to be over honest with people. This one, again, does have some patchwork, does still have some current rust problems, and you'll see photos of all of that stuff in my additional informations tab on the website, pcclassiccars.com. Overall, this is a great platform to either just drive like it sits. You're getting an A-code Mustang Fastback. You're usually buying project A-code Fastbacks in the low 20s to the mid 20s. So getting one that runs and drives down the road, that is a true A-code Fastback that has a good look. Yes, it definitely needs some work if you're wanting to drive it regularly, but it still is a great platform where you can drive it while you work on it and do some upgrades, or just do a few of the little mechanical things and leave the cosmetics like it sits, and you can still enjoy this car at a really good price point for an A-code Fastback. So there are multiple ways that you can skin this one. You can leave it just like it sits with doing a little bit of mechanical work. You could do a full cosmetic restoration on it, and if you choose to do that on this car, Mustangs are going to be the best one if you want to do a restoration project, just because they make every single part and piece for these cars. So if you're wanting to do a bunch of stuff, a Mustang is a great one to do a project with, just because, again, they make everything for it. But again, multiple ways to take this one, leave it like it sits, drive and enjoy it while you do a few upgrades, or you could do a restoration on it. It's kind of to each their own. It's just kind of that in-between car. But it is a fun car to drive. You can enjoy it. And again, I want to preface, if anybody needs clarification on anything on this particular car, do not hesitate to reach out if you need photos, videos, FaceTime, anything that y'all need. I'm always willing to get extra stuff for you. I always want you to know what you're buying before you send any money. So as always, I appreciate y'all watching this virtual description. Make sure you check out my test drive along with the additional informations tab on my website, pcclassiccars.com. I will catch you guys on the next virtual description and hope you have a great rest of your day.